yesterday, Steve Mnuchin was, and we will talk more about this next week, but Steve Mnuchin went in front of the banking committee, and Sherrod Brown, or I should say the Senate Finance Committee, for Treasury Secretary confirmation hearing. And Senator Sherrod Brown, we should also say, Mnuchin apparently, and look, I don't want to get nitpicky here, okay? Because there's a lot of times I forget to do stuff. I was supposed to call, I'm looking at my sheet, I was supposed to call Larry yesterday. I didn't do it. Steve Mnuchin apparently forgot to include a $100 million investment that he had that apparently was in the Caymans.
Well, maybe you should be a little bit more understanding. You didn't call Larry.
All right. I mean, I forgot to call Larry, and so Mnuchin forgot the $100 million. I mean, it happens, right? Like, so here's Sherrod Brown questioning Mnuchin, though, on Mnuchin's role. And we've talked extensively with David Dayen about Mnuchin when he was nominated, about Mnuchin's role in basically running I guess what you could call a foreclosure mill, because he had bought his company, had bought essentially these loans that were backstopped by the U.S. government. And for his company, it was much more profitable to foreclose on people because there was a whole mess of fees involved in that. And there was no penalty for his company to foreclose because the government had backstopped. Here are these loans. If they fail, we got you covered on the downside. And so they're like, well, if they fail, we get paid. We got basically insurance on their failure, but we get fees as they fail. And here's Sherrod Brown talking to Steve Mnuchin about it. And Mnuchin said over and over again, look, this stuff is too complicated for you.
Groups say that OneWest foreclosed on 60,000 families nationwide and denied 3/4 of mortgage modification applications.
I am not aware of that. I know they've objected.
Well, they did.
To a
they
bunch
did.
of
Okay,
things.
is it true?
Well, if you know they did, then why?
Well, because I want to hear it from you. If you don't know it,
well,
that
I
tells
don't
me
have it
something
in front
too.
of me.
I'm going to keep interrupting because we don't have a lot of time. I apologize if you see that as rude, but this is
I don't
this
see
is
it
the
as rude.
people's
That's
business.
okay. Thank
is
you.
it true that OneWest regulators, that's the OCC, said that you had deficient mortgage practices, foreclosed on 10,000 plus borrowers without proper procedure, and at least 23 who were current on their mortgages?
So what I would say is we followed the same procedure
Yes or no?
that the
Did the
FDIC
OCC say that?
that the FDIC followed. We inherited the FDIC
Yes, the OCC has said that.
procedures.
Let him answer the
Is it-
question.
Is it true that OneWest's independent audit firm said that it violated the Service Member Civil Relief Act by initiating foreclosures on 54 active duty military families? That's what the independent audit firm said. Yes or no?
Well, you have the document in front of you. I don't. Okay.
Well, they did.
So,
I'm
let me just say,
I'm
to
pretty
the extent-
surprised, Ms. Mnuchin. I'm sorry. I'm pretty surprised you don't know these things because you've been rather defensive for probably good reason about what happened at OneWest. Is it true that the California Attorney General...
I do want to just comment for the record. We unfortunately did foreclose on certain people in the military. It was quite unfortunate. It was inappropriate. We responded to those people and made them whole. As I said, every single person had the opportunity to have their mortgage reviewed, and we corrected any errors.
Well,
our errors were less than anybody else.
Okay, I'm
so
going to cut
it's
you
not
off
that
again.
I'm
I
being
apologize.
defensive. I'm proud of our
Well,
results.
I wouldn't be proud of all these findings.
Yeah.
To say the least.
We'll talk more about Mnuchin next week.
I just like really briefly. I spoke to some people who had experience at Goldman Sachs, and the sort of takeaway from Mnuchin was like worst of both worlds, in the sense that he doesn't even have the sort of macroeconomic knowledge that you might expect somebody from Goldman to have in terms of just the mechanics of the economy. So he actually is more in line with the incompetence of the rest of the appointments than we might realize. Plus, he's a complete sleaze.
Right. He was just a guy who figured out basically an angle to make money off of people.
Right,
and
and
racket.
that's the part he comes from. He was not part of like the sort of complex mechanics that you might deal with if you're at Goldman. He's just he's a hustler. On his sleeves, yeah.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Over. Subscribe.